Walk by yourself. Rise by yourself. Win by yourself. The path of the Stoic Warrior. What if everything you've been taught about strength, success, and connection was incomplete? What if the real power wasn't in being surrounded, validated, or constantly approved, but in standing alone? In this video, we're going to uncover 7 timeless principles of the Stoic Warrior. Each one a path to deeper freedom, resilience, and inner strength. And I promise, the final principle is something you may have never considered before, but it could completely shift the way you see your life. So stay with me until the end, because every part builds upon the last. And if you want more wisdom like this, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the next journey into Stoicism. Part 1. Embrace the sacred solitude. Most people fear being alone. They fill every silence with noise, every empty moment with distraction, every pause with someone else's voice. Yet, the Stoics believed solitude is not a punishment. It is a sanctuary, a sacred ground where you finally meet yourself without masks, without expectations, without the pressure of the crowd. When you step into solitude with intention, you begin to hear the quiet truths that daily chaos drowns out. You start to realize that your worth is not tied to constant validation, nor your identity to the approval of others. In silence, you discover your unfiltered self, the part of you that is often hidden beneath roles, routines, and social demands. The Stoics taught that this sacred solitude is the foundation of freedom. Marcus Aurelius often withdrew into his own mind, describing it as a retreat more peaceful than any countryside villa. Epictetus reminded us that the one place no tyrant can invade is your own reason, your own inner space. When you embrace solitude, you're not escaping the world. You are preparing to engage with it more wisely. Start small. 5 minutes in the morning without your phone. 10 minutes in the evening, walking without music or distraction. These small acts of intentional solitude are powerful. They create space for reflection, for self-correction, for listening to your own moral compass. True solitude is not loneliness. Loneliness is emptiness. Solitude is fullness. It is where you realign with your deepest values and strengthen the fortress of your mind. The Stoic Warrior knows, if you can stand strong when you are alone, no crowd, no criticism, no storm can shake you. Part 2. Your opinion of me is none of my business. One of the greatest chains that bind the human spirit is the weight of other people's opinions. From childhood, we are trained to seek approval, good grades, applause, compliments, likes, and praise. And while encouragement can feel pleasant, it becomes a prison when your sense of worth depends on it. The Stoics taught us to develop what we might call opinion immunity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, yet sets less value on his own opinion of himself than on the opinion of others." In other words, you live inside your own mind every single day, yet you give more power to the passing judgments of strangers than to your own conscience. Here's the truth. People's opinions of you are rarely about you. They are projections of their own fears, their own insecurities, their own regrets. When someone criticizes you harshly, they are often revealing more about the storm inside their soul than about your actual worth. So, what does the Stoic Warrior do? He practices indifference toward opinions that are outside his control. This does not mean arrogance or dismissiveness. It means clarity. You acknowledge feedback if it is useful, but you do not worship or chase after approval. You live by your principles, because that is the only opinion that truly matters. The opinion of your own reason, your own moral compass. Imagine how free you would feel if you stopped constantly rehearsing how others might judge you. How much lighter your spirit would become if you no longer needed to perform, to impress, to beg for validation. That freedom is not a dream. It is a discipline. The Stoic Warrior walks through life with calm confidence, knowing that the applause of the crowd and the whispers of critics are equally powerless to define him. Only his actions, rooted in virtue, carry the final word. Part 3. The strength. Found in self-reliance dependence is a quiet weakness that slowly erodes the soul. Many people believe strength comes from the size of their network, the resources they can borrow, or the comfort they can extract from others. But the Stoics taught that true strength is born from self-reliance, the ability to stand firmly on your own 2 feet, emotionally and practically. Seneca wrote, "The wise man is content with himself." This does not mean isolation, nor does it mean rejecting the help of others. It means you do not collapse when help is absent. You carry within yourself the tools to endure, to adapt, and to rise again. Only then can you enter relationships from a place of fullness, not neediness. Think of the difference. A person who depends on others for constant reassurance will cling, demand, and drain. But a person who is self-reliant offers stability, encouragement, and presence. Which of these two do you think builds deeper bonds and earns greater respect? The Stoic Warrior knows that to truly serve others, he must first learn to carry his own burdens. Self-reliance is both practical and emotional. On the practical side, it is the discipline of learning skills, facing challenges, and refusing to outsource every difficulty. On the emotional side, it is sovereignty over your reactions, refusing to let moods or impulses be dictated by someone else's behavior. When you cultivate self-reliance, you transform adversity into training. Each challenge faced alone becomes a stepping stone toward independence. Each solved problem strengthens your confidence that you can face the next storm without panic. And paradoxically, when you no longer need people to hold you up, you are finally strong enough to lift them when they fall. The Stoic Warrior is not selfish. His independence is not a wall, but a foundation. He becomes a reliable friend, a steady partner, a leader who gives without desperation, because he has already built an inner reserve that no crisis can deplete. Part 4. Failure is your private university. Most people see failure as a dead end. To them, it is a scarlet mark of shame, proof that they are not good enough. But to the Stoic Warrior, failure is not a tombstone. It is a teacher. It is the tuition you pay to attend life's most honest university. Seneca once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor strengthens the body." Every failure, every stumble, every defeat is an opportunity to exercise the muscles of resilience. Instead of running from the memory of failure, the Stoic sits with it. He asks, what went wrong? What was within my control? What will I do differently next time? This process, the failure audit, transforms painful moments into stepping stones of wisdom. Think of a warrior in training. Each cut, each bruise, each mistake in practice sharpens his skills and makes him less fragile. Likewise, failure builds what modern thinkers call anti-fragility, the ability to grow stronger, not despite stress, but because of it. The danger is not in failing, but in refusing to learn. Many people bury their failures under denial, excuses, or self-pity. But those who dare to confront them with honesty create a map for future success. Failure is not the opposite of growth. It is the raw material of growth. Imagine looking back at your life and seeing every defeat not as wasted years, but as lessons earned. Each rejection taught you patience. Each mistake humbled your ego. Each collapse reminded you of what truly matters. Slowly, your character is sculpted, not by victories, but by how you rose after the falls. The Stoic warrior knows victory without failure is fragile, but victory built on failure is unshakable. The world may strip you of status, possessions, or titles, but the wisdom forged in failure is yours forever. Part 5. Building your inner fortress. Life is full of storms. Some come as sudden crises, others as slow erosion, stress, betrayal, loss, uncertainty. Most people try to shield themselves with wealth, social status, or fragile networks of approval. But the Stoics taught that the only true protection is an inner fortress, a citadel of the mind that no storm can breach. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about retreating into himself, describing this sanctuary as a space stronger than any physical wall. It is built not from stone, but from clarity, principle, and perspective. External events are merely impressions. What matters is the judgment you place upon them. An insult is just a sound. Your interpretation gives it power. A setback is just an event. Your perspective decides whether it is tragedy or training. Building this inner fortress requires daily practice. You pause before reacting, asking, "Is this within my control?" If yes, act with courage and wisdom. If no, release it and guard your peace. Each time you refuse to be dragged into anger, envy, or fear, another stone is laid in your fortress wall. Inside the citadel, your identity is unshakable. You're not defined by gossip, not shattered by disappointment, not intoxicated by praise. You live by your chosen principles: courage, justice, discipline, wisdom, and these cannot be taken from you. This fortress is not a prison of cold detachment. It is a foundation of strength. It allows you to step into the world with openness and generosity, because you know no external chaos can invade your inner peace. The stronger your inner citadel, the freer you are to serve, to love, and to endure without fear. The Stoic warrior understands the storms will come, but they cannot conquer a mind fortified by wisdom. His fortress is invisible, yet indestructible. Part 6. The courage to disappoint. Others from childhood we are trained to please: parents, teachers, friends, society. We learn to smile when we are not happy, to agree when we disagree, to say yes when our soul is screaming no. And while this may win temporary approval, it slowly kills authenticity. The Stoics warned against living as prisoners of expectation. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live." And to live truly, you must accept a difficult truth. At some point, you'll have to disappoint others in order to remain loyal to yourself. This does not mean arrogance, selfishness, or indifference. It means having the courage to honor your values above the noise of demands. The Stoic warrior knows that if you try to satisfy everyone, you betray yourself, and paradoxically, you earn neither respect nor peace. Think of how many choices are silently guided by fear of judgment. The career you choose, the relationships you stay in, the risks you never take. Each time you yield to external pressure, you trade a piece of your freedom. But each time you act with integrity, even if it disappoints others, you reclaim that freedom. Disappointment is inevitable. People will project their desires onto you, and when you refuse, they will feel let down. But that is not cruelty, that is honesty. And in the long run, people respect the authentic more than the agreeable. The courage to disappoint is really the courage to live your own life. It is the quiet strength to say, I will not betray my principles just to be liked. When you stand firm in this way, the world may frown for a moment, but your soul will smile forever. The Stoic warrior chooses truth over approval, integrity over popularity. He knows living to please others may keep you comfortable, but living true to yourself makes you unbreakable. Part 7. Victory through self-mastery. Most people chase victory outside of themselves. Victory over competitors, over enemies, over circumstances. They measure success in titles, possessions, applause. Yet the Stoics taught that the only victory worth pursuing is victory over the self. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." To the Stoic warrior, this means mastering the most unruly forces of all. Your impulses, your fears, your anger, your desires. For what good is it to conquer the world if you remain a slave to your own emotions? Self-mastery is not achieved in a single grand act. It is a daily practice of choosing your response rather than reacting blindly. When insulted, you choose composure over rage. When tempted by excess, you choose discipline over indulgence. When fear whispers retreat, you choose courage instead. Each choice is a small battle, and each battle won strengthens the warrior within. This does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending to be unaffected. The Stoics did not aim to become stone. They aimed to understand their emotions, to guide them, to transform them into fuel for wisdom. Anger can become energy for justice. Fear can become caution. Desire can become motivation when governed by reason. The greatest paradox of self-mastery is that by conquering yourself, you become unconquerable by others. No insult can wound you without your consent. No temptation can enslave you without your surrender. No storm can sink you unless you abandon your inner helm. Victory through self-mastery is the crown of the Stoic warrior's journey. It is the point where solitude, resilience, failure, integrity, and courage all converge into unshakable freedom. The world may rise and fall around you, but you remain steady, because you have won the only battle that truly matters. The Stoic warrior knows the fiercest battlefield lies within, and the greatest triumph is to rule oneself. The journey of the Stoic warrior is not about isolation, coldness, or indifference. It is about freedom, the kind of freedom that comes when you no longer depend on the world to tell you who you are. To walk alone, to rise alone, to win alone. This is not loneliness. It is strength. It is clarity. It is the path to self-mastery. Now I'd like to hear from you. Which of these 7 principles spoke to you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you found value here, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. Not because I ask, but because it keeps this circle of wisdom alive. and ensures you never miss the next step in the journey.